When a person dies, they aren't gone. Their body is gone, but their personality doesn't end. We remember them, and we may laugh about jokes that they made. We may retell their stories and live lives that are inspired by them. Their legacy becomes a part of us, of our families, a part of all humanity, just as they were a continuation of the legacy of the people who shaped them. The loved ones who died are not gone. They are in all of us and in our stories today. They are in the culture and society they help to shape. His voice can be heard around the world with the assistance of his mother. Our loved ones are in us, and we can honor them. And that is what this show is about today, to present to those with a desire to listen. A young man who made some bad choices and can remind us that a single decision can change the world and cause pain in those who love him. Jared, your mother had taken your decision and transformed her pain into something that has saved thousands of lives. Those of you out there who are using drugs, listen to Jared, please. He has a message that can save your life if you are willing to listen. Don't go away. We will be right back. And that's what I was going to
putting this together. It surpasses any of my dreams.
It was January 8th, 2010, the eve of his friend's funeral, who had died of cancer. And unknown to his brother and parents, Jared passed out on the family couch in Laguna Niguel while watching a movie with friends. His friends saw him on the couch, and like many of us, would probably have thought that he was sleeping. He was, but he was also dying. He had taken numerous drugs. Everybody does everything for a reason, and drugs are no different. He may have been grieving, and maybe it was how he thought he could deal with it. He was only 19 years old. Many know the story of Jared because his lessons are told through the voice of his mother. Who was he? And what did people think of him? So it was August 11th, 1990, when Jared was born and brought immense enjoyment to Jodi and Bill, Jared's father. And the story you're about to hear is about love. It's about tragedy, and it's about hope. Jared Barber, the inspiration for Overtaken, highlights the battles against addiction through the lives of young adults. Jared is no longer with us physically, but he is present in the lives of many as his mother, Jodi Barber, spreads the message of her pain and the loss of her son that could clearly have been preventable. Now, another woman, Leslie, wrote a eulogy with her mother that was presented at Jared's funeral, and it was written to her son, Riley, and other friends of Jared's. Riley, her son, would also succumb to the same thing as Jared, and he passed away 11 months later. Listen to the eulogy.
When we lose someone we love before his time, the grief is inconsolable. The questions are never ending. Why, we ask, and what can be learned from this passing of one whose life was only just beginning? The answers do not come easily, and comfort from our grief cannot be found except in the lives of others who now may live because of Jared's legacy. He has shown us how to live and how not to die. And we thank him for this brutal lesson. If we want to honor this young man, our beloved son, grandson, nephew, cousin, and friend, then we must always remember his journey and know that if he could, he would say to each of us to choose life and to choose wisely. If we can hear his message clearly, then Jared's loss will never be in vain, and his memory will live on forever through the friends he has left behind. And if in the future the choices that you make show deep remembrance of your dearest friend, he will never be forgotten, and his life, however short, will serve a higher purpose. But only you, his friends, can make that choice and make that difference. So choose life, because that's what Jared would want you to do. And I know Jodi and Bill's hearts will mend easier, not faster, but easier, knowing that their son's life and death has helped another, especially his friends who honor and celebrate his life here today. I love you.
So we have on this show today the amazing mother of Jared Barber. And Jodi, I want to thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me, Eric.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah. And I know, as I was kind of saying that Jared's story is out there. And a lot of people know Jared's story because of you. And the first thing I wanted to ask you, and I've actually been curious on this, was, I know when he passed away, which was in 2010, it was very quickly, even when you started fighting this stuff. How quick did you start moving forward with the powerful messages that you were trying to send?
Pretty much that week, immediately. The first thing out of my husband and our mouths was, where was the regulating? How is Jared, when we found out that it was Opana, oxymorphone, looked it up online, saw what it was. It's like, how is he able to get that for terminal stage cancer? And then his friends immediately, shared with me what happened, where Jared was getting these pills, got the pills from, or his friends from this doctor. And so I was just like, she's not going to get away with this, and then 3 weeks later, Jared's close friend died. And it's like, okay, what is happening here? And I heard of another one and another and another. So it's just immediately, just quickly, where was the regulating? It was preventable. And that's why I immediately started on this mission.
Yeah. And this was that Dr. Lisa Singh. Is that
Dr. Lisa Singh, who is 45 miles away in Roland Heights. And so I discovered quickly that a lot of the kids were getting prescription drugs from her, and in less than 5 minutes. So that's when I said, we need to expose her on the news. And this is crazy what's happening. And so willingly, I was so happy to hear that these young adults would come to my home and exposed Dr. Lisa Singh on the news and shared their story of seeing her in less than 5 minutes, and they're addicted now and they don't know how to get off. I mean, these were young adults who were still struggling. They weren't even sober, clean yet. I mean, they were active in their addiction, but they were willing, because they hated it. They hated living that way. They're willing to talk about it. And I was super proud of them for doing so. And so then, OC Register called and the mission began. And we started, trying to do something about her.
On the Orange County Register's website, under the obituary section, there is a page for Jared. And many people have posted comments beginning around the time of his passing. And as I was reading through some of these, we can get a picture of who Jared was in the eyes of other people. I want to read one by Anna, who was a friend of his. Jared, I never do these types of things, but it's just so hard without you here. I need every little thing I can get to talk to you. I love you so much and miss you more than words can describe. You were my best friend, my family. 11 months later, I still can't believe you were ripped away from my life so abruptly, just hours after I saw you and hugged you goodnight. I'm so sorry. I would give anything in the world to have you back where you belong. Hear your voice and happy laughter. See that warm smile, get lost in those baby blues of yours, and hug my teddy bear, you. It sucks how much I want to talk about you all the time, but every time, even now, the wounds are still so deep and fresh. I can't help but pour my eyes out in tears to the point of incomprehension. I'm sorry for being selfish and saying such sad things. You were, and still are, one of the greatest people I ever had the pleasure of meeting and honor of befriending. I'm so blessed to have had you in my life the way I did. Even though you're not here with me physically, I know you are happy wherever you may be, which is probably the North Shore. Haha. I'll be there soon, and we can finally have that trip together. I love you so much, Jared. Keep watching over us, okay? And take care of Riley, Chase, John, Sean, Nolan, Josh, and all the other boys up there with you too. You're the best thing that ever happened to me. I love you. Always yours, Anna. And if you noticed in that letter, there were multiple names of people that died also in the same way that Jared did, died of an overdose. You have the B story that is always, and I wanted to know if you could kind of explain what that means. The story of the bee.
The story of the bee. And so, okay, well, this is pretty powerful, Eric, because the day that Jared passed away, when we came home from the hospital, our first sign was on our door. On the doorknob was a flyer, and it was from where you donate your organs and tissues. They called us asking us to do that. And, we had just gotten home from the hospital and we're like, call us back. Not right now. Legacy and legacy donor. And so there was a flyer on my doorknob, legacy construction. Right after that call, we see this flyer. It's like legacy. Whoa, that was just like clicked, weird. And then that day, his brother, Jared's brother, Blake, held a vigil on the corner, and Jared's friends went there to sign posters, and there was a bee on one of the posters, and it was there all day. And Blake even called me at 4 p.m. He's like, Mom, there's this bee that's here, and it's been here all day on this poster. And he thought that was strange, and I'm like, that is weird. Well, the next morning we walked over to get the posters, and that bee was still there, and then it flew away. And so from that day, it was just crazy. And the bees started coming in our home over and over, and in our car and on us and all over the place. It was weird. And then the day of the service, the funeral, some more signs. during the service. In my letter that I had my uncle write, the eulogy, he wrote about Jared being born and how water gushed and my water broke in bed, at 12 o'clock at night. And so as he's talking about that, I'm finding out that there's a water main on my street, living here 20 years. And on my street is a water main that broke, and water just was gushing out from underground towards his best friend's house and flooded the street. And it's like, okay, that is crazy. My husband called, the water company to find out, what time did this happen? And we discovered it was the time where my uncle was sharing what I wrote at the funeral. So, and then we have like these light fixtures in our bathroom, and Bill's getting ready for the service in our bathroom, in their master bath. And again, 20 years we've been living here, but this light fixture from up above the glass square came down in front of him and broke. And it's like, how did this happen? What was this? Luckily it didn't cut him or anything, but yeah, it broke. It landed right in front of him on the counter.
Wow. So many people that abuse substances think they are just hurting themselves. When someone passes away from an overdose, it's the family and friends that will suffer the heartache. The family will forever be changed. Family and friends hopefully move on, but a void will always remain. Listen to a couple of eulogies by friends of Jared's.
Hello, everyone. I'm Curtis, and one of Jared's closest best friends. I just wanted to say I love you, buddy, and I hope you're looking down on us. I wrote a little poem that I wanted to read to him. Jared, day after day, I will pray that you will come back to stay. So many years and memories we shared, you shouldn't have gone, it's just not fair. But now you're free, in a better place. Brother, what I would give just to see your face. Your laugh, your smile, till the very end. Stay up, stay true. Rest easy, my very best friend. I love you, Jared. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I wrote a little poem. Jared, I know you're still out there, living with your own kind of flair, standing with your face to the sun, picturing your time to come. Many clouds have passed by since we both stood underneath the same sky, taking in summer OC sights, laughing by the fire most of the nights. I still remember while we were young, playing and pulling pranks just for fun. I could still hear the pop of that ball ringing off the Nike bat, playing together on the Giants and having fun. That year was our year. We had won. Young, working hard, playing hard, not sweating any bills. True love, family and friends, all living in the hills. I guess things never would change so much. I thought our friends would never lose touch. The stars seem so clear from your domain. I wish I could sit out there and use some of those times again. Even if our dreams seem so far away, our friendship will be right here to stay. Jared, you've captured all of our hearts in a way I can't explain. I know you're looking down on us, smiling, guiding and guarding us. May you rest in peace, live and carry on in all of our hearts forever. I know I'll see you again someday, and when I do, we'll continue to talk and be good old buddies just like we were when we were small. I love you, Jared, so much. Thanks for being my best friend.
He had passed away at home, and he was on, how many medications was it?
He was on 6 pills from a doctor I took him to get him off of the opioids and marijuana he was addicted to. So this doctor I took him to for help that was recommended by a psychologist 3 months before Jared passed away. In October of 2009, he prescribed Jared anti-anxiety, antidepressants, benzodiazepines in an outpatient setting to somebody who's addicted to opioids. So you know how that is when you mix opioids and benzos, that could be deadly.
Mhm.
And then 2 days before Jared passed away, let's prescribe more pills. So now, he was already on 2 Klonopin and Cymbalta. And then 2 days before he died, he prescribed Seroquel. And he said on the script, it said take 3 to 4 Seroquel. And he handed Jared 2 handfuls, sample boxes, all these boxes. I'm in the waiting room. I thought he gave them all to me, but he kept 1 box. And I looked it up online. I said, you're not taking this. I don't like the side effects. You're not taking it, but he kept 1 sample box that night. But on a horrific note and a sad note is the fact, that Jared had 2 Klonopin, he had Cymbalta, he had 3 Seroquel from that one doctor. And yes, he did relapse on 1/4 of Opana that night.
Yeah. And that's what's obviously sent him over the edge.
Yeah.
Opana.
And that doctor at the very first visit, I won't forget his words. He promised me and Jared that all his cravings to opioids, Opana, and marijuana will go away. Take these pills and the cravings will go away. And I was like, thank you. I was so happy to hear that. Jared died with marijuana still in the system. He was still smoking weed too.
Yeah.
None of it was changing. I was waiting for those medications that he gave him to start working. It was 3 months. I was hoping they would start to work, but they weren't because he kept relapsing on Thanksgiving and Christmas Day, and then again in January. But the Seroquel then must have pushed him to pass away because he was relapsing before the Seroquel.
In a letter that was on the Orange County Register's website for the obituary, there was a note that was written by Gene Peterson. Jared, it's impossible to realize it's been a whole year since you left this earth. Your family has somehow taken on the task of surviving without you here, and you would be so proud of them. Blake has gone bravely ahead with his obvious love for life and the ladies, living the dream for both of you now. Your dad has stood strong and silent, keeping the balance for everyone in a world that has been turned upside down. He honors your memory every moment by being the great dad and husband he is. Your beautiful mom, who could just as easily have hidden under the covers for all her days, has managed through her immeasurable grief to still reach out to your friends and beyond. She is making such a difference and will only do more and more, all of it to honor your memory and find a way to cope with the impossible reality of not having you here. I remember a particular time. You couldn't have been more than 4, and you were out riding your motorized Jeep car in the empty dirt lot next door. You and your dad have always been about the wheels, and you actually flipped it over on that little hill in the back. When I tried to help, you completely freaked and only wanted your mom. I ran down to get her. She'd only gone inside for a couple of minutes. You know how overprotective she's always been. And until she got there, you just stayed upside down screaming. We were so scared as she got you out from under the Jeep, and you just climbed into her arms and immediately stopped crying. She was all you needed, and you were fine. She needs you still, so much. So please keep sending her those signs and pull all the strings you can in heaven to provide your whole family with the love and care they need to find a way to live a happy life until they are with you again. Eternal peace, beautiful, blue-eyed, copper-toned baby. The most important thing of what we're doing here on this show is to get to know Jared. We want to know who he is. And so I wanted to know if you could tell us, who was Jared?
It was Jared. Jared had this big personality. He was funny. He was happy. He did have anxiety, but he was a normal kid. He had a lot of friends. He had a lot of family that surrounded him, who loved him. He came from a beautiful home. He was a jokester.
Very good. there goes Dad. Woo! On the vine. Oh, he's going for it twice. Oh! One more time, Dad.
Oh, that's good.
Okay.
Oh, I'm looking through the wrong way, maybe. There we go.
Okay, it's on.
Okay.
It's on. Hi, we're at it. Mom. Hi, we're at a nude beach today.
And he loved life, basically. I mean, he did everything, outdoors. He loved the ocean. He was just loved the ocean. His favorite place was Hawaii. We always went to Hawaii since he was born, practically every summer. And he loved his younger brother. He was very protective of Blake. He even said, "I'll kill you if you ever start." He was he wanted to know who Blake's friends were. Very protective, and he was the one that the girls went to talk about their boyfriends, to talk about their issues with Jared. He was the go-to person for that. But he struggled. He had a couple. This one girl in particular, he always talked about, who he was in love with. And she really liked him, and they talked all the time. But she did have this other boyfriend, and Jared was just hoping so badly that she'd break up with him. And he'd cry to me. He was just like, he'd say, "Mom, I'll stop smoking marijuana for her," because she didn't want him smoking pot. And he'd say, "I'll stop smoking pot, if I had her." I'm like, "Her? What about me? What about for your mom? How about smoking pot? Stop smoking pot for me." But anyway, and then there's another girl as well that he was like, "Mom, you got to meet this one." This is towards the end of his, and she was a beautiful girl. And he's like, "You got to meet her. You got to meet her." Yeah, I finally did. "This is the girl I'm going to marry." So Jared was just, a beautiful young man, but he did have issues that I did have to deal with, and it was hard, and he was controlling, and he had an anger issue. A lot of times he'd get pretty angry, and it was kind of scary with his temperament. He wanted his own way. I struggled with him when he was little. "Go to your room, Jared. You're punished. You got to go to your room." And he wouldn't go to his room. It's like, "Go to your room." But he just like,
I was a lot the same way, in the aspect that, I wanted to do what I wanted to do. I mean, parents, they don't really know what's,
I know. Yeah, exactly. I know. So Jared would do things. It's like, "No, you can't do that," and it was just so hard, because when I'd take his keys away, he managed to get around that. When I took his car and keys away, he's like,
I've done these different shows too. And we were doing one with LA Talk Radio. And my wife and I had talked a lot about, with children, in that, no matter how hard we want to control our kids, you can't control your kids. Kids are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to make the choices that they're going to make.
That's so true, Eric. That's
it
true.
Is. Yeah.
I did the same thing.
Yeah.
I didn't listen to my mom either.
Yeah.
I did things. Yeah.
Well, that's the funny part. I'll say this is the funny part, because, like, when we become adults, we sort of forget that.
Yeah.
And then we're expecting our kids to do something different. But when you really think about it, we all did the same thing.
I know. It's like, it's not until we have our own kids where we really call up mom and say, "Thank you. I get it. I get it now." But it's really not until, it wasn't for me until I had my own kids. Then I realized,
Yep. My dad used to say that all the time, he's like, wait till you have kids,
Yeah. Yeah, I
And I'm like,
know.
at that time, I'm like, going, I'm not having kids, you know?
I know. I know. So
Yeah, it's definitely parenting is tough, you
it
know.
is tough. And I think Jared was just born the way he, born that way because very strong-willed.
Mhm.
He was born strong-willed. He wanted out. He came 5.5 weeks early and he broke my water. He broke that water sack. He wanted out. And then, trying to get him to sleep in his crib. Oh my gosh. The crying would last I couldn't handle it and I'd give in. So one night my mom came over and she's like, I'll do it. And she'd go upstairs and put him to bed. And every 5 minutes, he was crying for 2 hours straight. Every 5 minutes, she'd go back, go to sleep, go to sleep. And he'd still be crying. And I'd be plugging my ears like, oh, I can't stand. I can't stand. And then he finally fell asleep. And when I went to check on him, he fell asleep standing up with his head on the crib rail. And I was like, oh my God.
How cute.
So he had a hard time sleeping in his room and he slept with us for a long time.
Yeah.
We couldn't get him we finally got him out of our bed. And when we put him in his own room, then we'd have to be in there until he fell asleep, read him a book, and sneak out quietly, take drives in our car to get him to fall asleep. It was like, geez.
Oh, he was one of those, huh?
Yeah, he just wanted to be awake and be with his mom.
Yeah. I looked at the pictures with, you can tell he really, loved Blake.
I know he did. For a while there, he went through this phase where he was teasing Blake a lot. It was really, really difficult. I mean, a horrible thing where we couldn't even have them sitting in the car together in the back seat. One would have to be in the front, one in the back, because he'd make Blake cry or something. It wasn't easy, but
yeah, that's brothers there.
Yeah. But later on,
I had an older brother too, and we and I'm an older brother. I'm the middle kid, So
oh yeah. Later on he got
how old was he at that time?
So it was when Blake was when Jared was 10 and Blake was 6.
Yeah.
They were 4 years apart. And Blake was 7 and Jared was 11. It was those years. And then when Jared got into high school and got a little older, it got better. And yeah, like I said, he became very protective of Blake. And it just.
How did he handle when he passed?
For a 15-year-old, he handled it pretty well. I'd catch him when he'd go to bed a couple times in his bathroom brushing his teeth or whatever, and he was crying and he said, I'm just having a wave. He said, I have these waves of emotions and I'm having a wave. And I said, okay. And I hugged him and I said, this is normal for you to do. And then he realized that Jared was hurting. And he realized that, that Jared was hurting pretty badly, actually, with his addiction issues, and that he's okay. And he knows that Jared, maybe it's the signs, that he gets too, but he knows that Jared is in a good place. And he, he thinks about if Jared was still here, what if, what would Jared be doing today? He talks about that. And he could be possibly in jail or prison or still struggling, or he could have gotten better, but he knows that Jared wants him happy, and that's what he's going to live by. He knows that his brother would want him happy. And so Blake is happy.
Listen to this. This is Jodi Barber in Overtaken, followed by Blake. This is Jared's brother, and speaking about his brother.
My son had a marijuana issue, big time. He loved his marijuana. He had anxiety, and the marijuana was no longer helping him. He had more anxiety because of the weed that he smoked. He'd have to wake up in the morning and go around the corner and smoke a joint before starting his day. The weed was no longer helping, so a friend says, here, take a quarter of this pill. That pill was called Opana. Jared didn't want that route. He swore over and over to me that marijuana would not lead to pills. And the marijuana was no longer helping him, so he did turn to Opana. Addiction devastates the entire family. It takes over the entire family.
Who knows
My
what?
son will never have the chance to celebrate his 21st birthday. He'll never have the chance to have a girlfriend. He never had a girlfriend. He'll never have the chance to get married, have kids, and just live life to its fullest like he should be. I'm here to save lives, and I hope that each and every one of you take this seriously and never try it. Never start, because once you start, you are hooked. Don't take pills. Pills kill. One pill can kill.
I lost my brother, Jared, 2 years ago from an overdose, and he always told me that he was invincible and he would never try pills or anything. He always said to me that he'll always stick to marijuana, and he thought it would never happen to him, and look where he is now. He's up in heaven.
I think I asked you this before. Is there anything that really sticks out as far as something that he would say or do that you guys talk about a lot that just really makes you laugh?
Yeah, his laugh.
His laugh?
His laugh. He had the best laugh. And I have an actual video that his friends took of him and his buddies. They were on a trail, and his friend was coming down this hill on his bike, this long hill, and Jared's videoing him and laughing. And that laugh of his is just the best. And so Mike comes down that trail on his bike, and he lands, and Jared's laughing, and he says, he goes, were you scared? You know, it's like the best. I have to send the video to you.
Was that scary?
That one sucked compared to the other one. The other one, he went way more.
And the other one that he declared you guys were at a nude camp, a nude beach.
And Aaron, until you pointed that out to me, I did not know he said that. It was like, oh my God.
Did you go back and listen to it? Yeah, you got it.
I did. I listened to it, and that's what he said. So that's the character he was. When I talk about him acting funny and being funny, that's what he was like, you know, the little jokester. Yeah. I was like, are you kidding me? Sure. And then I got this tattooed on my arm right here that nobody can figure it out. But when he was on his phone talking to his friends, he would raise his tone of voice. That's his picture. And this is what he'd say. And he'd spell it like OOWUUUTTT. And it's from a Warren G song. And he'd say, what? And so when he was in this good mood, talking on the phone with his friend, I'd hear him say, oh, what? And I love that. I can still picture his voice saying that. So it's it's his laughter. It's the things that he did and his characterism, that I remember that makes me happy.
Yeah. Yeah. He sounds like a fun, the thing on, as we all know, like, especially teenage boys go through different phases of their And, at certain ages, they're all appeasing and everything's wonderful and life's good. And then they hit these different periods where, irritation and agitation and everything gets to me. And then you get to the phases of like, I'm just going to do what I want. I don't care what my parents say.
Yeah.
And that's when you get in trouble.
Yeah, that's true. I know the phases. Exactly.
Yep.
Oh, I know. But he's missed by us, by his family and his friends, and just that's the hard part.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that he made a mark on a lot of people, and you took that mark and you have made it huge. With your the documentaries Overtaken and Overtaken 2. You have quite a message and a powerful message. And, and as I use your videos all the time. Of course, I use them with you, when I have you on Zoom or with, for the groups and classes,
yeah.
Which is awesome. And,
yeah,
it's very powerful. And I was honored to have that one girl on one of the shows. The work you do is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, thank you. I feel likewise about you, Eric. Honestly, when I first met you and you were teaching in Costa Mesa, and I heard you, talking, it was like, oh wow, you're pretty amazing. And then look what you're doing now with the shows, and I just love all your work is incredible. So,
and the coolest part about it is I have met so many neat people.
Yeah.
So much of it's all in Zoom, it's great because I can reach people all over the world, and I almost feel like now it's like I've got friends all across the country.
Yeah. Exactly. I know it's pretty incredible. Yeah. And, I know we're all fortunate to have you to know you and for you to be my friend. And
thank you.
No, seriously, thank you. Really, you're doing great work. So keep it up. Don't stop.
Here's Jodi's sister.
Strong one. I'm silly putty to keep me calm, and I'm not trying to get through this. Chair Bear. I'm not going to start by saying goodbye, because not a day will go by that I don't wink to the sky. Beautiful boy, you brought me such joy. You're my bear. We had so many special moments we shared. And whenever I told you what was going on, you acted like you cared. You always... Watching you play ball and driving them to the wall. You came to my court and hit balls to the moon. Some days we would text all afternoon. I'm going to miss our long talks and our fun shopping sprees. Those sweet little times meant the world to me. I'm going to miss our nights of fine dining while looking at your blue eyes. We're always shining. You're so smart and so caring and handsome too. You just have to look in the mirror and believe in you. What I'd tell him. You're my bear, and now you're an angel for your friends and family and your Aunt Care. Jarrod lives on. I'll miss him. He's the best.
And here's his uncle.
He, like his dad, loved animals. The brat even talked us into getting a snake once, which Jodi hated. His favorite food was tuna sandwiches with lettuce, no tomatoes, vinegar and oil, and lots of pepper. He also loved Taco Bell. Family meant everything to Jared. He was he had so many special times with his two aunts. He loved them so much, along with all his family. There are no words to express our gratitude for Carrie for the amount of time she gave Jared to help him with his struggles. His friends also meant a lot to him. They spent many hours laughing and talking in the backyard around the fireplace. They also loved to play ping pong and Xbox. Although Jared had his battles, he had such a warm, loving heart and truly cared about the people in his life. He was the guy that all the girls turned to when they were having boyfriend problems. Although there was time when Jared loved to tease and pick on Blake, he outgrew that and became the best older brother anyone could ever have. He constantly reminded Blake never to start doing drugs or to drink. He even allowed Blake to wear his favorite Yankees hat. Jared, more than anything, we hope you are happy and you recognize all the wonderful qualities in yourself we so clearly saw. Your time here with us was much too short, and the gifts you added to so many lives will remain forever in our hearts. We want you to know how much we always truly will love you. There is an old saying, 2 steps back, 3 steps forward. Jared, you took 2 steps back, but this time you took 3 steps forward. And now we hope you're in a calm, peaceful place. We know you're in a place of comfort now, having a blast with your dear friend Chase, bowling or fishing. This service is dedicated in loving memory to our son Jared and 3 other sons that were lost too soon, Chase, Christian, and cousin Damon. This service, God love you all. Jared, we love you more than all the grains in the sand in the world. And this is something I wrote. Jarrod Barber. We remember you today and grieve your loss. Tears of mourning replace words that will not come. Our hearts are broken, our lives shaken with shock and disbelief. How do we make sense of losing you so young? From the outside, you seemingly had it all. The perfect family, loving parents, a younger brother who idolized you, a beautiful home, supportive relatives, and loyal friends. Every toy a boy could want. California sunshine, sandy beaches, a playground that never ends. You had the promise of youth and vitality with your whole life ahead to follow your dreams.
Is there anything that you want to say about Jared that we haven't discussed?
He was ambidextrous like me.
Yeah, nice.
Exactly like me. It's so strange because he threw with his left hand like me. He writes with his right, or he used to write with his right, and eat with his right. And
wow,
I know. He loves sports. Played baseball for 9 years. And I can't think. Loved animals. And he really loved animals. I mean, he talked to his dad, not me, but his dad and a snake. Had a snake one time that thankfully it died after about 2 days. So I was really happy. Other snakes, no, thank you. Any other animal's fine, but not a snake in my garage. Yeah, he had a lot of animals, and he was sensitive. That's something that, that people didn't know about him. He was sensitive.
That is what we find with most people that have substance abuse problems. With all of the people that I work with that have substance abuse problems, it's one of the most common themes. These are sensitive people. And I think it plays into why people choose to go down that path sometimes, because so many people don't like to be sensitive, and they don't like to have all those feelings. And they don't like to have, and I think it is something. There is something with that.
Something else too that I'm finding by talking to a lot of these young adults that have the same thing going on with their personality is that, because Jared was like this, where they like that rush, of like Jared would drive his car too fast all the time. I'm telling him to slow down, his dirt bike, Maniac. It's like, okay, we had to end up selling all our dirt bikes. We did it as a family, but Jared, the maniac on that dirt bike, it's like he's going to kill himself or somebody. So we ended up selling them all, the dirt bikes, because of that, or hitting a tennis ball, just like really hard. A bowling ball would jump off the lane to the lane down the bowling alley. Yeah. The power in his throw. It's just like,
it's the premise of high wall clean, it's like, highness is not a property of drugs, it's a property of people. So we're all looking for something, that highness or that adrenaline or that something that really gives us that boost, in life. We just want people to find it clean.
Yeah.
Because there's no side effects. It's free and it's legal, right?
Right. Right. Yes.
So, yeah.
I know. Yeah. At 5 years old, jumping off the high dive at the what?
Yep.
5 years old, no problem. Blake would cry and Jared would say, come on, you can do it. It's fun. Yep. And so once Blake, Blake wanted to impress Jared. He wanted to, impress his older brother. And he'd end up doing the things that Jared asked him to do. Jared, he never do any, tell him to do anything he thought he'd get, hurt by. But jumping off the high dive, Jared did it so he knows Blake can do it and not get hurt. And once Blake did it, he was so proud of himself. And then he went right back up those stairs and did it again. Yeah. So
thank you so much, Jodi. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eric. And thank you for everything that you do. And
well, as we've brought humanity to Jared, who was a fun, loving, caring, sensitive jokester, let us remember the lessons that he has taught us. Overdose, it's right around the corner for many of you. Jodi posted a letter on the OC website on Jared's obituary page on January 8th of 2021, which she claimed to not remember. And she wrote, "Hi, son. 11 years you've been working so hard up there. I look at the beautiful sunsets, clouds, and rainbows and think heaven must be so beautiful. I picture you with your grandma and relatives and so many of your friends from school and how you all are looking down and watching over your families. What do you think of Blake's girlfriend? I know you, Riley, John, and Max are saying, go Blake. Anna is a babe. I also know how very proud you are of your brother becoming such a man, taking care of bills, himself, a successful job, and quite the cook. You've seen how hard your dad works. Jared, can you make sure the next time we go fishing, Dad finally catches a fish? I'll do my best to continue on our mission. I know how much you love us, and we love you to heaven and back. Your signs have given me so much strength. They make me laugh, smile, cry, and a feeling that is indescribable, so powerful from you and God. Thank you. Sending you big hugs. Love, Mom." So we're going to end this with the eulogy of his cousin and a little message from Jodi Barber from the overdose awareness event that she held last year. And I want to thank you for tuning into High Wall Clean as we gave a voice to Jared Barber. Keep getting high, but please remember to do it clean. We'll see you soon.
Hello, everyone. I'm Blake's cousin and Jared's cousin and nephew to Uncle Bill and Aunt Jodi. Blake just wanted me to read his speech that he wrote, and I said for sure I'd never, reject anything that you told me to do, little cousin. Blake said, "Jarrod, you were the best brother in the whole world. You taught me much that I know today. Every time I learned something like surfing, snowboarding, or anything that had to do with sports, you wanted to teach me, not by myself, not by lessons, or by anyone else. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have found my passion for baseball. Every time you went to one of my games, I tried my best and showed off for you. You made me laugh so much, and every day you told me if I did anything like smoke or drink, you would do some pretty harmful things to me." He used to always pick on you, so I'm sure you didn't want to get socked in the arm, did you? "You told me that if you could go back in time, you wouldn't try any of that stuff. You were doing great before, and I was so proud of you. I always was here for you, and you were always there for me. I always looked up to you, and you always looked up to me. I mean, what can I say? Just look at me. Every night before I go to sleep, I think of you." All the memories we had in Hawaii, making the jump off the rock in the ocean, in Big Bear, saving my life from hitting the cabin on my sled, and playing some Call of Duty. Every day was a good memory with you. Words can't explain how much I love you. I will miss you so much. I will take care of our family just like you would want me to do. I know you will take care of us too while you are up there in heaven, having a great time with your good friend Chase, fishing and hitting some chicas. You meant everything to me, and I will always love you forever and ever. You're the best bro in the world. Love, Bubba.
I put up over 100 faces of our beautiful loved ones lost to overdoses for International Overdose Awareness Day. Beautiful kids. Micah, Jared, Stacy, Justine, Matthew and Brandon, Adam. Beautiful, beautiful young lives gone too soon to an overdose. We have an epidemic going on here in Orange County. Sick and tired of the deaths. This is my son Jared. These are his close friends, Riley, Ryan, John. This is my cousin Damon, and this is Jared's close friend Max. Beautiful, beautiful kids. Look at Alex, who died 2 months ago, 14 years old. He went online and he ordered what he thought was Oxycontin. It was laced with fentanyl. And this is Alex. Sweet Casey, sweet Tyler, Harley, Jessica, Mark, Nolan, 15 years old. They are young. I heard today there was another 14-year-old and a 17-year-old who died. I heard today that there was a girl who was dropped out of her car and she was left to die. But thank God there is a man who gave her Narcan and she survived. But she would have been another statistic.